Professor, let me ask you another sort of factor that came into play in the U.S. In my experience over these years with this population was the rise of non-marijuana or associated, cannabis products through the production of CBD-rich, quote-unquote, industrial hemp. That sort of area opened up. Yeah, has that made because that has less, because there's less worry about psychoactivity. It's a little less regulated and easier. So is it easier? Is that making any inroads?
It's a little bit. We can get those products over the counter. You don't need a doctor's prescription. The problem we've got, of course, you may have the same problem in the States. They're not regulated so much. They're they're called they're food supplements. They're logged as. You can't make medical claims, so people don't quite know which to use. Yeah. There's been a lot of fuss about some labeling not being really quite accurate. There's 258 cannabis companies selling products in the UK, and those that fulfilled all the criteria of not being able to advertise them were down in the tens rather than the 200s.
Wait, sorry. So you have 258 companies. Is that hemp or just cannabis? That's
industrial hemp. So it's over-the-counter CBD products, which, of course, as you know, and the audience will know, it can help people, but not as much as the full-spectrum product with all the other minor cannabinoids and terpenes. The CBD or CBD-only products are okay. But not that brilliant. But it's easy. A lot of people go there first because it's easier to pop in the chemist, buy one over the counter. But the trouble is they don't know what they're buying. They don't know what dose to take. Yeah. The companies can't tell them what dose to take because they're not allowed to say that because it's not medicine. So it's a bit of a mess.
They can't write anything on the label that says roughly a standard dose.
All you can say is the maximum dose you can take is 70 milligrams a day. And as we know, that's for some people that's not enough.
Right.
If the average is 60 to 100 milligrams, say, it's about right.
Yes.
That maximum of 70 automatically rules out 3/4 of the people who might benefit.
Well, especially in your patient population.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's though we have got CBD has never been regulated as a medicine, but it's a bit of a mess, frankly. It's not good.
Well, I hear that it was a mess. It was a big mess here too. Then they federally changed things. A lot of states started growing it, and the prices came down. And then people started. I personally found people that really were reputable, that had experience in clinical, that were also working on these companies, and I saw their certificates of analysis. They tried to make it as potent as they could, full spectrum. I mean, what that means is, in our case, is that you could still make a range of terpenes and other compounds in there, and even minor cannabinoids, CBG, CBN. You just can't have much THC. And of course, and if you need THC, what I would do for folks is maybe we can prescribe that some other monomolecular THC route and add that in there if we need to sort of mix the two. Yeah. But that gave a little some help, because Epidiolex, which is the one that we were talking about earlier, is very expensive and it's hard to get prescribed. So there's really no CBD options for patients aside from that. I mean, there is the sort of state level markets. Of course, none of them are covered either, like in whatever schemes we do have here, but it is an option that I think that's also going to stay, and I think it'll be better if people start to develop a little bit more high quality in that area, so your patients can get 100 milligrams a day of CBD with that method. And I think that there's companies in our states that are doing that, and I don't see why they won't show up there, as long as there's a. So you say that these companies can't advertise, though, huh? There's no way for them.
No, they can't make any medical claims at all, which is odd.
But can they say that they? Oh, okay.
You can make sort of vague. It's a very grey area. You can say sort of aches and pains of daily life. You say the stresses and the strains of daily life, because that's sort of not medical. In other words, you can treat pain and anxiety. It's all very grey. Some people push the boundaries a little bit. A few companies make ridiculous claims like it's going to cure all your cancer and all that sort of stuff. But they shouldn't. So it's very difficult. And we've got some crazy laws. And one law is which is just to illustrate it, the CBD, you can't have more than 1 milligram of THC per container. Now that sounds okay, but until you think of the size of the container. So you can have a legal CBD over the counter in a small bottle, because it's got less than 1 milligram of THC in it. Let's pretend. If you put exactly the same oil in a bigger bottle, it will have more than 1 milligram of THC in it, because you've doubled or tripled the volume, and that becomes illegal. So the same stuff is legal depending on the size of the bottle you put it in.
It's a packaging.
How is that? That's not totally crazy. So we've got a lot of anomalies, and in the UK, it's only hospital specialists that can initiate prescription.
Is that
Ordinary
right?
general practitioners, primary care physicians can't.
Oh, that's a huge restriction.
That's a big restriction. They can do follow-ups. And then the other thing is, any doctor wanting to prescribe it has got to get approval from a peer group of colleagues. So you can't just write a prescription thinking this is what I want to do for my patient. You've got to say, this is what I'm going to do, but I've got to take it to a panel of my colleagues to approve it.
After you write it, you have to they have to have some kind of meeting.
Write it. You have to have a meeting. You can say a clinic once a week or something like that. They meet and go through, I want to prescribe this for this person, that for that person. And it just adds a totally unnecessary layer of bureaucracy. So although we've come a long way in the UK, we're way, way behind you across there. So,
yeah, well, that's funny. I thank you for sharing that.